Hey, welcome back to another Habs Summer Target with the hockey coach, Coach Frenchy, directly for the beautiful country of Thailand on amazing great Wednesday night, August 13, 2025. Middle of the week. Hopefully, you have an amazing great week so far. And yes, we are back tonight talking about the Montreal Canadiens and the NHL news around the league. And we have a great subject tonight to share with all of you. It's about tonight the expansion draft, if ever happening. Who stay, who goes for the Montreal Canadiens? We're going to look about also who's going to be with the Montreal Canadiens for the next 3 seasons and 3 years with the Montreal. If you follow my channel, you're going to see my breakout players for 2026 for every single team and NHL. I think was out early this morning, and I'm going to make more different video around the NHL the next couple of days. Just give you a bit more preparation for the upcoming season 2025-2026 in NHL. First of all, I just want to remind you, we're going to be back at Friday night for the Fun Friday, and we're getting close of the upcoming season, and we're going to create more live stream start next week. Expect a couple of people is going to visit as a guest. We're getting a little bit more and more from other people ask to join us. So expect a little bit some kind of variation for the next couple of weeks with new people, part of the Hockey Nation family. And talk about guests. We talk about the co-host of every Wednesday night. If he will be also for the upcoming season at the sixth season with the Hockey Nation show directly from Hawkesbury. Back with us tonight, and a pleasure to present to you Mr. Marko Larabie back in the house.
Yes, sir. Happy Wednesday, Hockey Nation. Coach, before we get started, I just wanted to kind of throw a little word out there for those of you who probably been following in Canada. In the Maritimes right now, it's some pretty tough times, some pretty nasty wildfires going on in various parts of the Maritimes. We know that a lot of people in all kinds of different places all across North America have been experiencing these really, really frightening. I have a coworker who actually just got a emergency preparedness warning, has to sleep with one eye open at any given moment. They might have to evacuate their home, and just very, very crazy, scary stuff to see fire come that close to your home. So just a thought out. I'm sure we have Montreal Canadiens fans all over Canada, including in the Maritimes. So if you're watching, know that we're thinking about you. Stay safe. We're thinking about you. It's a very, very scary situation to go through. So hopefully we have a little bit of rain. It's been very dry here, Coach, like even where I live in Ontario. We got a little bit of rain today, just a little bit, but it's been so dry. My grass, like I haven't even cut my grass in almost 2-3 weeks because it's just so dry. So hoping for some rain, for some natural relief, but just a little thought for those people.
Thanks for sharing. Of course, prayer is tough for all the people involved with wildfires. It's happened a lot of time in many places around the world, but this is not what we're looking for. So first of all, go to welcome right away Mr. Joe Blow. Happy about the graphic, everything. Welcome in the house of the Hockey Nation. I appreciate a lot for your kind words, and glad to have to work with you, Marco, tonight. We have a busy schedule in front of us. Of course, we have Mr. Roger Delaney is in the house. I apologize, Roger. My mom was the die-hard Acadian. I wonder what she will have thought of the White giving her maiden name was Leblanc. There we go. That one. Thanks so much, Joe, about this. Jazz is in the house. Welcome back, Jazz. Gary Cornoyer, welcome back also, Gary. Hopefully you have a better day. I think Monday you was really busy at the UPS. I didn't see you. And finally, we have Mr. A2 and back in the house. Finally, rain here and over 2 weeks. Be safe, Marco, about that. So glad to hear that from A2. Roger Bouchard de Vermont est de retour avec nous ce soir. Billy from Newfoundland, maybe is from now and back home in Nova Scotia. We'll see. We have Larry Lavalley back in the house. Mr. Larry Lavalley from upstate. PLW knocked the door. Mike folks, my bet of the night is Mookie Betts. And they hit a home run for 5.5, a Freddie Freeman for $4.5. Good show all at PLW. Talk about is baseball. Sanderman, welcome back also in the house. Thanks, Sam, for the comments on the video. I'm going to back to you after the show tonight. RJ Calabro back in the house with all the comments left and right in news and update. Thank you, RJ, to be with us tonight. RJ is getting to the football season. High school start at the end of the month. I think it's the 26th for him, maybe not 26th. Maybe this Friday. We'll see what happens. And again, Joe, welcome back in the house. And don't forget, everybody, to click on the likes and subscribe on the Hockey Nation Show. This is the place to be with Frank back in the house, also from Pittsburgh. What about Julien Wiseman Vizina? Welcome back, Mr. Julien. Hopefully an amazing, great week. If we forget you, it's not because we don't want to not see you. It's just because I did not see you at all. Just I did not pay attention to your name. It's just sometimes it's too fast. But welcome, everybody. And we start with what, Marco?
We always start with headlines, Coach. Got to have the headlines.
You're absolutely right about that. And you're always on the front of the headlines. So Big Steve is in the house. Welcome back. Here we go, Marco.
All right, guys. So who's going to kill penalties for the Montreal Canadiens, guys, this year? So little graphic of lonely Jake Evans with two of his, main partners there. Like, for sure, Evans was playing a lot with Armia, and we know Dvorak was killing with Anderson last year. But so no Dvorak, no Armia this year. Very, very key losses that I'm not sure Montreal's really addressed yet, to be honest. I'm going to share one piece of shocking information. I heard this on another podcast today, and I didn't even know this was a thing, Coach. I don't know if you heard this, but last year was a record low for penalty calls in the NHL. There was over 1,000 minutes less penalty calls in the NHL last year than than the year before that. It's crazy. Some people think it's because younger, newer officials not really kind of knowing where to go on the ice. Like, there's a lot of debate about why that is. But it sounds like the NHL is really working on that this offseason to make sure that maybe there's a little bit more stability. We noticed it in a lot of the Montreal games. Like, there are some games where they were getting no power plays. There's even a stretch where I think there's like 2 games where they didn't have a power play. So that to say, so Montreal last year, Coach, they finished, I believe, let's see here, they finished 9th overall in the NHL in PK, right? Very huge improvement from the year before. And as we know, they finished, not as high in the power play. I think they finished 19th in the power play last year. So we're going to, for those of you who don't know, guys, stay tuned the next couple weeks. I think in the first Wednesday after Labor Day, I'll be joined here with Coach and Frank. We're going to be doing a really deep dive into all the big important statistics that Montreal is going to need to hit this year. 5-on-5, like how many goals per line they should get, penalty kill, power play, 5-on-5 goal, all that stuff. We're going to go through it. But a really, really big one is the PK, because again, that was a really, and it's not that they just finished 9th in the NHL, Coach. It was key times in games, right? Like, it was set, the penalty kill came up so big for them at different parts at different games, and it can easily swing, your season, right? Like, 1 point there, another point there. Easily you could swing 6 to 8 points in the season, and Montreal would not be in the playoffs if they didn't get those really big penalty kills. So if the reasoning out there is correct, and we might see even more penalties called compared to last year, I think it's going to be even more important to have a lot of depth penalty killing. So, there's some question marks there. So, obviously Dvorak was a really, really big piece, taking left-handed faceoffs, really, really big faceoffs in the defensive zone during the PK. And we know how effective Armia was with Evans. So I think I'm pretty confident that somebody like Alex Newhook can come in and have a role there playing with Evans and be a really effective penalty kill. But the jury is still out in terms of who's going to replace Dvorak in those left-handed faceoffs, right? So we heard Joe Veleno talk with Tony Marinaro and a couple other outlets when he first got signed. And it sounds like him and Kent Hughes had a heart-to-heart discussion saying, you got to come to camp with your work boots. And it sounded like he is interested in working on his two-way game. So is he potentially a solution? Are they going to really put Joe Veleno out there to kill penalties, test him out in that kind of role? Maybe. You have maybe like somebody like Kapanen makes the team and takes those face-offs, but again, he's a right-handed shot. So a lot to be figured out here, Coach, but I just wanted to kind of make sure that everybody understands the gravity of this, because I think we all understand, and I think we're all thinking that Montreal's power play is going to improve drastically with Demidov there the whole year, another year of them building that chemistry. We know that for a team to be successful, you want your overall percentage of specialty teams to be somewhere between 100 and 110%, right? So over 80% on the power play and over 20% on the penalty kill, and then you're going to be in a pretty good spot. So I think Montreal last year, like I said, they finished pretty well. Like they finished ninth. They were just around 80%. We think the power play is going to be a lot better, especially now that they have a second unit with Dobson or however you're going to break it down. But we just can't see Montreal take a huge drop in the PK. It's got to be as good, if not better, because there's going to be potentially more penalties, right? So curious to see what everybody thinks. Like, I know it's not the sexiest part of the game, guys, but like I said, really big points on the line. If you don't get that big kill, nothing is more deflating, than kind of just letting in a lot of like power play goals in against. So curious to see what everybody thinks in the comments. And Coach, like, who do you see coming into? Like I said, I think Armia a little bit easier to replace because he's a winger, and you have Newhook that might have that job. But how do you think Montreal is going to set up there for their second wave of power play? Because Evans is going to go out there first. But who do you think is going to be that second pair of forwards that comes out over the boards when it's time to kill?
First of all, we want to mention PLW said about you forget David Savard. So
yes, absolutely. Yeah, great point.
That's a good point behind that. So August for me is homework. When I said that is because I'm looking for what's going on with other team and new players, everything. And then I look about fun stat and hockey, and I studied the PK for Montreal a couple of days ago. You're right. Montreal finished 9 in NHL, 82.4, 82.9, if I can recall it properly the right way. And when you look about what could be the unit, you're right, Newhook and Evans. First thing there, you have a left center and a right center if something happening, Marco. So it just makes sense when you think about this. I feel Caden Coley and Mike Madison are going to start on the PK. That's my feeling about that. The second unit after, I think it's going to be a unit of fun players. I would say to you, Joe Veleno came on my head right away on the left side of the circle. And then I'm going to surprise maybe a couple of people here. You're going to have an alternate with Josh Anderson, right? We don't talk about Josh Anderson, was a regular last season. But I think you have two other players. I think Kirby Doc and Zachary Bolduc are going to be the next two players. Now you're going to tell me Beck and Kapanen. It's because we don't know they're going to be a part of the roster, Marco. So I cannot say, okay, it's going to be Kapanen or Beck. If they are part of the roster, they would be definitely impossible to PK. But why Doc and Bolduc? But more for Doc. I think if he get out of the power play, Marco, and it's not because he don't deserve it, we deserve it. It's just like he does not want to use Nick Zuski or the players on the power play, so he wants to have a better balance of his utilities of his players forward, Marco. That's, I believe, is going to happening for the PK unit number 2. That said, now you have to look after that on the behind. But after that, on unit number 2, on the PK defenseman, I see an opportunity for Strobel or Jekai if they are there. And then I'm going to add Carrier behind Coley. That would be my first decision. Now, you can add if Rebacker, part of the game, could be part of that unit number 2. If he's not, I think William Carrier will be there. Who is going to be out, I think, is first Lane Hudson. And if they necessarily need that, if Carrier or other defenseman is a penalty box, I think Noah Dobson could be the next one on the PK. So the key, Marco, is I put a number. If you drop at 79 and on the PK, that give you an average of the 16, 17 team make it the NHL average on the PK. Of the 17 team, I believe that 4 team or 3 team did not participate to the playoff. So the ratio is not bad. And from 79 to 78, we add maybe 5, 6 more teams. The key is not to drop from 82 to 75, 76. That will be a major problem. If they can handle, and I said my prediction or my projection, if they can stay, Marco, at 80%, drop 2%, it will not too bad. The key on the PK, at the end of the day, it's about momentum during the game. If you give a PK goal, it is what it is. You go back on the bench or restart. But if you stop a PK at the crucial moments during the game, that gives some kind of boost of the team change the momentum. And that's the reason the PK Montreal was excellent. It's not only why they made the playoff because of the PK. We have many other factors we can talk about. But an excellent PK helped the team when they come back after PK to get that kind of energy and momentum, swing momentum on the game. So this is what I'm thinking. I could be wrong. Maybe you can add something for what just I said.
Yeah, I'm with you for probably like 85% of what you said there. I'm not exactly sure that Doc is a right fit for a PK. For me, skating is so important. Not that Doc is a bad skater, right? But lots of stops and starts. I'm not sure with his like health status and everything. I'd be very nervous putting him out there blocking shots, lots of stops and starts, getting in like I think it's a little bit for him to bite off right away. Maybe in the future he could be an effective player there. But I think Anderson is a lock to be on that second wave of penalty killers. It's really just who's going to play center with him. I think we both agree. I think they're going to give Veleno a shot. Like obviously he's going to need to have a good camp. And the last thing I think their coach is, I know Struble just got re-signed, but I think, they really feel strongly that they want to have Jack-Eye in the lineup. And this is a really good opportunity for Jack-Eye to carve out a really important role in the team on that second unit, PK. He needs to become a specialist that they can count on, that's going to come in, block shots, be smart, positioning-wise and everything else. So I'm with you. Like they can't drop off. They can stay the same if they can stay in the top like 12 in the league. Like we said, what we want to see is we want to see the combination of their PK percentage and their power play percentage equal, ideally somewhere around 110. So if if they can have
average, Marco, is 105. It's not because I want to change you, but 105, 107 is really where you're targeting as a hockey team. You said if I can get that, we're going to be fine. Usually the team make the NHL playoff. Surprisingly, Marco, I write for the Chicago Blackhawks, right? Do you know Chicago Blackhawks finished 4th on the power play and they finished 14 on the PK? It's a 5 versus 5. They got destroyed. And when I talk about destroy, Marco, they gave 39 more goals during the third period.
Wow.
296 shot more during the third period for the Chicago Blackhawks. So remember, because every time I look about stat, everything, and the per period, I always think about you because you said the second period is where you get destroyed usually. It's about 70% of the time the team have a really bad second period. So that will be happening. And then I want to mention to you, you're right, you nail it. I did another study case last year during January, February. I think they have 2.6 less penalty per game last season at that moment of the year, season 24-25 in the NHL. I think you have many factors. I think, Marco, I know when you maybe said, man, no, coach, not possible. I think the players are more smarter and they know more the roles and they pay a little bit more attention about that.
Yeah.
And that's one reason. I think the game is floating better. Yeah, less contact, it's less physical. And maybe you said, oh, come on, coach. I think
I think,
the
yeah,
skater are more skater, talented players around the league like he was before. He have less
yeah.
stop between the play shift, and I think this is all the part of the reason behind that. And the game, the referee let go the game. Yeah, more game, less goal differential. I will say to you, by 1 goal to 2 goal, compare a lot of blowout like 6-2, 5-2, everything. So I think this is put this all together. But you're right.
Yeah, I think it's not just one thing, right? Like I think you're right. Like players learn how to play within the rules better. We saw how good they were at adapting after the lockout, when clutch and grabbing and hooking on the hands and all that stuff. They adapted really well. So there's probably a little bit of that. But again, like there is a little bit of a turnover with referees in this podcast. I think it was on Daily Face Off today. They were talking about that. And I had noticed that before too, that they're really putting an emphasis on getting referees that are ex players, and they're skipping on more senior officials that are in like junior leagues and stuff like that, and they're trying to convert ex players into officials. And in theory, you think that would work well, but depending on who you talk to, it's all about experience, right? Like, yes, you understand the game as a player, but being a referee is very different. The positioning on the ice is very different. So there's a big debate right now happening in the NHL because a lot of the really main referees have been retiring. There's a lot of turnover. So we'll see if the NHL has the right solution to again, I'm not one to complain about the on ice product, coach. Like I thought last year was tremendous hockey. We're getting really good hockey. But there are periods there where, definitely there's some missed calls and then some bad calls as well that can really swing a game. So always good to take a look at what's going on with the officiating for sure.
Yeah, absolutely about that. Let's move on for my headline. This one will be a little bit surprise all of you, because when you study more the game and you go about around the team, other teams, you say, oh, maybe we have someone he does really good job and we don't give him enough credit. And I'm talking about Martin Saint Louis, underrated as a hockey coach in NHL. He's become now top 5, top 6 maybe on the most experience behind the bench in NHL now. It's crazy. 9 new head coach coming for the upcoming season for the NHL. But Martin said we about underrated the fact Marco is development behind the bench as a coach. Uh, People criticize the Montreal Canadiens. They select a coach on the Pee Wee, on the Bantam, whatever it was, and Saint Louis bring not only the coach style on the X and O. He bring more behind the bench. First, it's all about the mindset of the game. I think is a mindset of motivation, passion, and of course the compassion for all the players. Communication between him is individual players, and then with the full team together. How he works with assistant coach, how his behavior on ice, off ice. I believe he carry on that team on his shoulder. Everything Martin Saint Louis apply does make an impact on the team. And because his composure in front of the mic, in front of the camera, and also in front of the fans, the way he talk, the way he coach, I think for me is underrated in NHL as a coach. That said, it's not perfect. You have some adjustment to do like any other players, but I see an improvement on different ways. I'll give you an example. And how many times in last November, December we heard is hybrid system, everything. And you know what? He changed it. He modified it. He adjusts himself what's going on with the team. His adaptation as the system on the NHL today is really where I'm really impressed by his decision. And I think this is a big part of the Montreal Canadiens rebuild team at that moment. I think we talk about Ken Hughes on salary cap, trade, everything. And I think we don't give enough credit at Martin St. Louis. I don't want to. You already know what's going on with
Yeah.
him, but the way he talked, the way he expressed himself on ice, off ice. He just brings confidence. He brings some kind of the hope and excitement for the Montreal Canadiens fans, and that's the reason I want to mention him tonight. And I would like to hear from you what you feel about Martin Saint Louis.
Yeah, you're right to bring it up, Coach, because he's kind of got like his importance has kind of been lost in the shuffle a little bit. You know, he did get nominated for Jack Adams, last year, so it's not to say that the NHL, as a whole, is not recognizing the impact that he's having. But you're right. If you look at all the podcasts and all the conversation around Montreal, you don't hear as like it's not there's not enough credit, I think, that goes to Martin Saint Louis. And we've talked a lot about how we're all impressed with how Nick Suzuki is evolving as a captain, and I think that's true. But hear me when I say this: like the true captain and leader of the Montreal Canadiens is Martin Saint Louis. Still, right? He is the captain. For those of you who remember that movie with Tom Hanks there with the Somali pirates, I am the captain now. That's Martin Saint Louis is the captain. He is the captain of the ship. And it's hard. Like he's just a natural born leader, Coach. And hearing people that know him well, and maybe there were some people, like you said, that doubted him, but people that knew him well knew that there's no challenge that this guy is going to back down from, right? You saw that clip that came out. They did, like, the Montreal Canadiens sent out like a year, like a season summary video, like 20 minutes long, with the key highlights of the season. And there was part of that was saying I think it was in early November when the team wasn't going very well. And he was talking about how it fuels him. All the criticism just fuels him. He loves proving people wrong. And, why would he take advice from people that he would normally not go ask, right? So it's not surprising that, that he's stepped up to the challenge. To me, the most impressive thing, like you said, Coach, is how he's evolving, right? And that was always the plan, right? Like to have St. Louis come in and also grow at the same time as the young core, right? Almost side by side, learning how to win together. And that's what's happening. Because Martin St. Louis' focus in the first year or two was very different from last year, from what his focus was last year. You could tell with how he was talking about it, right? Like he started very gradually talking about aggressive patience. Okay, so that was kind of a signal. Okay, so aggressive patience means I'm still being patient, but not for too long. It's almost like planting the seed. Okay, guys, like this phase here of being super patient and accepting, mitigated results and things like that, that's coming to an end. And then slowly, it's almost like, when you're boiling a frog, they say boiling a frog is very slow and he doesn't notice that he's boiling in the water, or like a salami slice, it's just very gradual. Martin St. Louis is like turning up the heat on his players, turning up the expectations and the accountability with his players. And you started seeing that, like after they started winning some games. Okay, well, we're learning how to win. We're in a different phase now. We're learning how to be a winning team, and it's very gradual. And he's adapting the voice that he has with his players, the messaging that he has with the public and his players is evolving. And now you're right, Coach. What we need to see is the tactician, like tactics have to evolve, continue to evolve, continue to improve. Because you're right, the hybrid system in training camp, I think after hearing more about it as months went by, it was clear that it was kind of a communication issue, right? Like the players just weren't understanding. So he needed to continue to try to figure out, okay, how do I communicate this? And need to communicate it differently. And that's what good communicators do, right? You just keep adapting to your audience, trying to figure ways to get your message across. And that's what makes Martin St. Louis. It's a perfect blend of somebody who's very competitive, very passionate about hockey, and just an amazing leader. And you put all those things together, and you have a pretty special guy who Montreal is very lucky to have at this point in their rebuild. He's the perfect guy. You couldn't think of a better guy to be there, for sure.
Well said, Marco. I think like any other coach, he's going to get fired at some point. This is part of the process. Yeah, exception case like John Cooper, but at the end of the day, is going to be on the Thunder at some point.
Yeah. Oh
This
yeah.
this Peter August in the chat said it's going to be a big year in front of him. Yes, but I think it's not this year. He's still going to face the pressure, but the
Mhm.
following year, I think 26, 27 is really where I still there will be the year of Martin Saint Louis. If he go through that year, that would be amazing for me, and Montreal should be better the following year, and that would bring more the because if Montreal make back-to-back playoff, that changes a little bit the expectation for the Montreal
I don't
Canadiens.
know. See, I don't know, coach. Like, so I think it was, I think 2 weeks ago, I had my headline as like, the rest of the NHL, like, I think is like Montreal is the it team right now, right? Everybody's starting to talk about Montreal. And like, so you can tell, like, in the media and just in the hockey world, expectations are going up, not just because they made the playoffs, right? But because they have Demidov, they traded for Dobson. So I think you might be underestimating the pressure that they're going to feel even just this year, to kind of replicate what they did last year, right? It's not going to be a walk in the park. It's really going to be important for them. And in the exit interviews you heard last year, I liked what I heard because a lot of the players were saying, "Listen, like it's not guaranteed we're going to make just because we made the playoffs this year doesn't mean the NHL is just going to let us make it again. It's going to be even harder." And that's the mindset. That's to me, Martin Saint Louis. It's the biggest thing that the biggest challenge for him is to get the team's mindset in the right place to understand that you're starting from scratch. Last year does not matter. It doesn't count. Everything you accomplished last year means nothing. It's all to start over. And to be honest, it's even going to be harder because teams are not going to underestimate you after the year that you had. Lane Hudson, everybody knows who Lane Hudson is this year. Everybody's seen the Demidov highlights. Teams are going to be ready. So I don't know, coach. I think St. Louis and the whole team is going to feel more pressure than people think, just because Montreal's is one of the it teams right now. Everybody's talking about how they're going up, and it's true, but that does add a lot of pressure.
Yeah, maybe because I see this differently, but I understand the expectation, the fan are a bit more higher. But I feel for me, like if you make the playoff or not the playoff, the year after that is going to be the biggest pressure he's going to face, in my opinion, the fun year. I think for me, if you don't make the playoff, it's okay. It's about again how the development of the players, how the improvement as fun players at the end. We're going to looking for what we did last year at the same time. Marco, you and me, we talk about is another year of evaluation. But again,
Yeah,
this year you have a couple of players is on the evaluation, and then there are more because now you reach some prospect 3 years now in Laval. They will decide after that the end of the contract is maybe over if you're going to keep them around the team or not. The same situation with Montreal Canadiens. We have a couple of players going to be at the end of the contract. We have other on the RFA after the season. Same thing after that. So I think evaluation development. If it come the outcome to make the playoff, that's perfect. If not, make the playoff. But we still in the around to play many full game, right? We talked about this last year. Many full game after the trade deadline. It's going to be another year of success for Montreal, but we have to be realistic. You never know, an injury or this year the compression of the schedule, Marco. I think is going to
yeah,
be a factor going to change. A couple of teams have
yeah,
difficulties this season. I think. I'm not saying it's going to be Montreal or not. My point, you have some things going to be faced to challenge injuries, back-to-back game, 3 game and 4 game and 6, 5 game and 9. When one is 7 game and 12 game and 12 days, Marco,
yeah.
it's rare. But that's another difficulties they have to
Well,
deal. And Marco, Martin we said, I'm sure that's the league. The league have to move on, and we have to move on with that. So we cannot go as an excuse, but that's the reality behind that. We'll see what's happening. I think we did pretty good on the headline. We welcome all of you guys. We did not said hi to you. We welcome back in the chat. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like, subscribe, and of course become a member of the Hockey Nation. Joe, welcome back in the house. Nicholas knocked the door. Guy is back also with us. We have Triple W. Thanks again for your words about In Our Tap. And we have other people. Again, thanks to be with us. Regular show is coming more and more at the Hockey Nation. So stay tuned. Next week, we are back almost at the normal schedule. We have a different guest is going to join me next week. So follow the channel with the bell notification. So let's move on for what we do at the beginning of after the headline. We're going to have a quick NHL, if you don't mind, Marco. Not much to talk about, but I still have a couple of news. And we're going to start right away with the NHL retire. Another one, after 13 years in NHL, Chad Rottwedel retired as a hockey player. Is a journeyman in NHL, played many years with the Pittsburgh Penguins, but announced that yesterday is going to be the end of his career, playing American Hockey League, of course, the last couple of years, back and forth. But it's another players with many others announced the retires during the summer. One of them, I said to you, Blake Wheeler, example. So some of them quit at 33, 34. Jake Chelios, the son of Chris, retired also 2 days ago. Played the last couple of years in the KHL. Talking about the KHL. But we have some ex-coach and NHL now are focusing on the KHL. And Gerard Galland got hired by Shanghai Dragons in the KHL. This is the old team of the Cluron, whatever his last name. They changed the name of that. I'll be honest with you, I don't know the team will be good, but the social media video they produce is amazing. I tell you right now, this is a crazy thing they do. Honestly, the Dragons around the city and they traveling around. It's pretty amazing what they accomplished. But again, Gallant be a part of that team for the KHL, and of course, where Bob Hartley returned with Avangard, if I can recall it, the name of the team could be wrong that team, but Barkley right now, Hartley is back on that.
Yeah, the KHL overall, coach, they do a good job with their social media, right? Like they they do a good job of marketing, coming up with cool stuff to watch. So interesting to watch.
Absolutely.
Although I hope not to watch. I hope not to watch as much KHL this year that I did last year.
No, as I said, I wish the best for Alexander Zarowski, but I'm not going to be every night at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning for the middle. I did Columbus. They get the signature of Michael Pietia. He's played the Columbus Blue Jacket last season with Cleveland Monster. Play maybe 4 games with the team. It's another 1-year contract at 2 ways for him, and not major any other contract around the NHL. But another news, 2 news. Carolina Hurricane, the owners, Downton, to purchase the NBA Portland Trailblazer, I believe is the nickname of the team. Yeah. $4 billion, Marco.
Ooh. Well, hopefully he has, he's known to have kind of a very unique style of managing his teams, very, very tight on the purse strings when it comes to that stuff. We remember the situation with Sebastian Aho and things like that. So that's a big purchase, but it's probably good for the NHL to have an owner that, that has teams in both. Good opportunity for some synergy there. So good for him. Good for him.
You're absolutely right about that. And it's a little bit more freedom and the owners in the NBA. So maybe he's going to have some kind of, with Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban.
So we'll see what's happening about this. In hockey, you have to be a little bit more careful. And the last one, it's something get out yesterday. It's about the arbitration rule in favor of the Flyers. Again, Ryan Johansson grievance. We know Johansson is a kind of, yes, always a player. They lost their career really quickly in NHL for injuries whatsoever. It is Johansson is one of them. Have a great career with the Columbus Blue Jacket. Got traded to the Nashville Predator. A big trade for Zeb Jones, if I can recall it, the right trade. And then he was part of the trade for the Flyers. And He never. By the way, he went to Colorado Avalanche before that,
They were
and then he
trying
go
like
to
so
for.
they were trying to kind of what were they trying to do? They were trying to kind of like get his contract annulled, right? They didn't want to buy him out. They were trying to get his, something about him like just basically canceling his contract because of some clause. Like I don't know what it is, but so they won their grievance. Okay,
If I
cool.
can recall it, he tried to buy out. He didn't want to report to the American Hockey League,
No, I
uh,
don't think it was that, coach. I don't think they want to buy him out. Like
and they have
like
an
for
injury
example,
involved with that. If I can recall it.
but I think in some occasions, like I'm not saying this is what happened, but let's say it's like with Corey Perry, right? Like he did some type of like bad thing on the team, so they canceled his contract. Like they canceled his contract, which is different from buying it out. There's like it's almost kind of like a morality clause. But I'm not saying like for him it might have been related to an injury, like maybe he didn't rehab it the way that he was supposed to, or something like that. But that's I think what Flyers were trying to do is they didn't want to buy him out. They didn't want it to count on the cap. They're trying to annul his contract, which is why he was disputing it. So interesting to see that they learned that they won that. One last thing I saw in the news, coach, that you don't have on here. Everybody here will remember Josh Georges. He's now the assistant coach for the Kelowna Rockets. So first kind of coaching gig for everybody in Montreal. Love Josh Georges. Like what a warrior. So really big year for the Kelowna Rockets. They're going to be hosting the Memorial Cup this year, right? So really big year for them. So fun to see Josh Georges get back into hockey. Maybe we'll see him coach in the NHL one day.
Randy confirmed he faked an injury to try to go stop to go to minor. So that's what I was thinking for
Maybe.
Wenson for that. So yeah, thanks to confirm Randy about that. And then another remark, guys, the name of the Amelia, or I think it's Amelia hockey ring and Tampa. It's been the name forever, been changed for Benchmark name company now. That's the news get out about a couple of hours ago. You write about Josh George back in the hockey. Glad to see him around for sure. Montreal Canadian news. We don't have a lot, honestly. You know what's going on, most of you know, but we have always something. And I want to mention a player here. It's Alexander Zarovsky. Some problem. Now we said, Coach, come on. But here's the problem with him. It's not concerned him, but I'm a little bit concerned. He played in the KHL, the Salvalat, whatever they call it, the Dolphat Salvalat, whatever. The problem, Marco, they don't have money. They just let go Josh Leivo of the team. Like, they just let him go. Like, for nothing. He's going to sign with another team in KHL. He was the best scorer in the league last season. But why they do
Yeah.
that? Because the owners, whoever who they are, they cannot pay the players. We are right now at the training camp. But what's the problem with him? He's going to have more ice time now. He's going to play. Yes. But the fact the team has some kind of problem, I'm a little bit concerned about what could happen with the team during the season. The management, the owners, the players. It could be a difficult environment, right? To be around those kind of. You never know if you're going to get your pay. I've been in hockey minor, guys, and friend sport,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
know how you feel, players wise, coaching wise, and that's
Well,
not
yeah.
easy. I,
Well, yeah, because you imagine like it's not just kind of personnel too, right? Like there's a lot of instances in the KHL where let's say you don't have the proper medical personnel at a game, and like or you don't have the right defibrillator if somebody has a cardiac episode or whatever, right? Like you if you're Montreal, you want your prospects to be in systems where it's not just the best people, but the best resources are there for your players, right? So if the ownership is short on cash and they're not able to keep their players, what other kind of little shortcuts and are they taking, right? Is it again, medical staff? Is it medical equipment? Is it training equipment? That is concerning for sure.
Yes, it's just a concern, nothing major, but it's a little bit red flag. We'll see. We're going to take advantage of that situation. If the player leave, that will be part of the KHL. Hopefully, he's going to play in the KHL for upcoming year. But we're going to follow him for sure. So stay tuned for all the update about that player, sir. Um, I don't know if you are like me, but I want to hear your input about Evan Demidov. He's enjoying his summer in Montreal like a teenager. Marco, at 13 years old, just met his first girlfriend in his life. This kid is everywhere, smiling, happy. It's just crazy to see him. And that will bring me another point for the people in the chat can talk about this. Maybe I'm wrong. Do you feel, and could be wrong here, but do you feel, and maybe it's because we follow the Montreal Canadiens, I don't know, but I think the Montreal Canadiens select sometime they really pay attention the character of the players, the maturity of the players is amazing. You talk about a kid 20 years old with a girlfriend, live in the new city, did not want to return home because he want to familiarize himself with the city, the fans, everything like that. I don't know. I may be wrong here, but compare like 20, only 20 years ago, I never see that kind of the situation summertime. Suzuki did it. Caulfield passed a couple of weeks per summertime here. Last year was more active. Caden Coley did it last season. Dalbage is still around. Patrick Liney did it again this year. And not only the Québécois du Québec played for Montreal C and Montreal, but other players passed the summer now in Montreal. So I'm really impressed by the behavior of Evan Demidov.
100%, coach. Like, I think you nailed it. Like, we've talked about it here before that probably one of the biggest reasons that Montreal chose Juraj Slafkovsky first overall was their belief that he would be able to perform in this market. Maybe that's one of the reasons that they didn't select Shane Wright or maybe Logan Cooley, because they just didn't think they would be able to manage the pressure as much or manage the market as well. So I think you're right. Like, these are really important things. Like, hockey players are hockey players and skill is skill, but having good people is the most important thing. You have to be good people. And Demidov does look like he looks like a fun guy, like, but he looks very mature. Let's compare it to Lane Hudson. What did we talk about all last year with Lane Hudson, right? Is his level of commitment. And we've said this before. If you go look at the top players in the league, the one thing that they share is they're all probably the hardest working players on their team. You hear about Sidney Crosby, Nate McKinnon. They're absolute hockey nerds and just obsessed with hockey. And I see that resemblance between Demidov and Hudson, right? Like, they love being at the rink, and they just, living and breathing hockey. And I think it was absolutely the right move for Demidov to stay in Montreal for the summer, get used to the city. It's a really huge adjustment for him. I don't have any worries at all about him. You think about the Kostitsins and players like that, that didn't thrive, adapting to being superstars in Montreal. It is very dangerous. It can absolutely get to your head, but it seems like you're right. Like, you see him. I shared with you that clip, coach, where he was at the Bauer training center there and he was with Schaefer, and really cool little funny TikTok video that they did together. So, right now, like I said, Montreal, coach, like I said, they're kind of the it team right now. Everybody is excited to see what Montreal is going to do. Demidov is a huge piece of that. Line has been blowing up. That was my headline last week about how Line is like the summer tour of Patrick Line going all over across with the team, really becoming part of the team, really seeming to gel with everyone. And we haven't talked about it. We had some people in the chat asking us if we're watching some of the clips of the players practicing together at Brassard and the chemistry that's building between. There's a great video about like Veleno and Line and Demidov playing together. We've seen different kind of combinations do very well. So it's great to see them practice. It's never a guarantee of success. I was hearing today that last year the Buffalo Sabres, they so I think it was Rasmus Dahlin, decided to do a mini camp before training camp. He invited all these players, and the Buffalo players were all committed. They all went to Switzerland to have like a mini camp before the season because they're all committed to starting the season strong and being great and everything. And then look what happened to Buffalo. So it's never a guarantee, but giving yourself a, having the ability to be together and having Demidov kind of be with the guys, it's just a great opportunity to start. And we've talked about, Coach, like the training camp last year for Montreal. This is great signal just for Montreal to make sure that they're giving themselves every chance to have a good start to the season, because you're going to need to have a strong start to stay in the mix. So very exciting. Demidov is, I just can't wait for the season to start to see how it's going to go.
You're absolutely right. This is great for Montreal Canadiens fans. We have a news from, it's fun to hear from one of the greatest GM in the Montreal Canadiens history, I believe he is. And I'm talking about Serge Savard. And he talked about Lane Hudson, the most talented since Guy Lafleur. He come with my week of the series of the Montreal Canadiens top best players on the franchise the last 25 years. Talk about my Mount Rushmore and everything, and talk about Guy Lafleur, how much he was, and then I compare even Demidov a couple of days ago to Guy Lafleur. When I said that, I don't say he's going to be better. I just said he's going to be that kind of the vibes of Montreal will never, for me, yeah, for the last 50 years, I believe, Marco, you got from Guy Lafleur to Mats Naslund. Then you got the middle of 90s, right? Patrick Roy, but since...
Richer, you got to put Richer in there, Coach. 250 goal seasons. You have to put Richer in there too.
No, but my point behind is about the fact, like, we don't get those kind of the vibe, excitement to get players. And I think this is what Demidov, I think the expectation of for me, it's going to be a top 3 best players in the Montreal Canadiens history if everything turned to be the way I'm thinking. For Lane Hudson to get that kind of recognized by maybe the best GM for Montreal Canadiens, Serge Savard, maybe behind Sam Pollock, I think it's a great statement to hear from the Senator Savard.
For sure. I think the word, I didn't see the quote, but what I heard him say was the most exciting player since Lafleur. I don't know if he said the most talented, but I'll take it. I'm not sure what word he used, but I think we probably talked about that last year, Coach. Like, at least in my lifetime, anyways. I think
I want to confirm is more talented for the NHL.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So yeah, like, I think for sure we can say that Lane Hudson was the most electrifying player that Montreal fans saw since PK Subban, right? So I don't think we'd seen anybody excite the the fan base live at the games, like people oohing and awing. So I'd say, like, Kovalev, Subban, then you have I'd say Lane Hudson. So, but Demidov, very short sample size, but we saw kind of how excited the fans were to see him. But Lane Hudson, we have more of a sample size to say that that's could actually be a thing. But you're right, like Savard's not wrong. Like, because I only saw Lafleur, to be honest, like in the late years. I didn't see I was born in 74, right? So the first cup I saw was in 86, really, that I remember. So I saw more. I've seen him more play with the Rangers and the Nordiques than I saw him play with the Canadiens, right? So for me, it's hard to compare. But in my lifetime, I'd say Kovalev, Subban, Hudson are kind of in that conversation as the most electrifying players, right? And we'll see if Demidov can jump into that conversation this year with Lane Hudson. But there's a reason why most people around the NHL saying that Montreal might be the most exciting team to watch this year. It might be hard with goals against at times, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be very fun to watch, especially the power play, coach. It's going to be so fun, so exciting.
Yeah, I agree about, and I think we have to said we are lucky to have Demidov and Lennartson and part of the Montreal Canadiens. I think this is going to be for years, at least for the next 10, 15 years, where we're going to mention their name many times, and they're going to be one of the top best player in NHL. No doubt on my mind, this is going to be great for the Montreal Canadiens. Very lucky to draft two players like them, and it's going to see happening. We have a couple of interviews around the Montreal Canadiens the last couple of days, participant players on different station, TV or radio, whatever happening. But we have Alex Carrier and Zachary Bolduc, and I want to split both of them. I want to hear your input. But Carrier talk about the fact like you have a new fresh of hair with the Montreal Canadiens, with many French Canadians now around the Montreal organization, on the staff, and of course on the roster. He's really excited to start his first year, full year with the Montreal Canadiens. He feels the Montreal is going to be better and better the next couple of years. He's excited to be a part of the Montreal Canadiens. And I think when I see Alex Carrier, I grew Marco that organization de Laval, QM with the Morissette and with Granby, everything. And I grew up watching Francis Bouillon. And Bouillon was a small defenseman, 5'10", but
Yeah, he was
really on the
short, but he
side, like
was thick.
ski, like big, like
Thick.
yeah,
Thick.
exactly. And he was not afraid. Leadership at 16 years old. Him and Martin Lapointe came to the with Laval at 16 years old with that kind of maturity. Talk about Demidov. Bouillon was that type. Great career in the NHL, but he remind me Carrier, the Francis Bouillon NHL players. And I think this is what I'm very excited for Carrier. It was a great trade turnover season last year by Ken Hughes. On the flip side, I want to finish with Bolduc so you can continue with Bolduc. You have an interview talk about he's excited to be a part of the Montreal Canadiens. He said, I will play PK if I have to play PK. I'm not worried. If I play center, I'll play center. He can't wait to be play in front of the Montreal Canadiens fans. He said, look, this is going to be an excited moment on my career to be a part of Montreal. So it's good to hear those players like Demidov, Lane Hudson last year now, and then you have Bolduc and Carrier. What I'm trying to say is the kind of willing and happy to play in Montreal. This is what I feel like. This is because of Martin St. Louis reason underrated earlier. I should mention that statement where the Montreal player or the player in NHL are not doubt if they have an opportunity to play in Montreal, they will come. This is a new
Yeah.
wave of what Montreal management did in the last couple of years, I believe. So I want to hear from you how you feel.
I think the easiest way to say all that, coach, is the vibes are very good right now, right? Like the vibes are very good. That's what I keep saying, right? Like everybody in the NHL, Montreal is the it team right now. They're like everybody's can see that Montreal is on the rise. Everybody's talking about it. They're all excited after what happened last year. Demidov, Hudson, all the everybody sees that everything is trending the right way. And then yes, you add Martin Saint Louis, like Dobson deciding that he wanted to play in Montreal. Like all these things, the easiest way to put it is the vibes are immaculate. Everybody's feeling positive vibes, and that can be infectious. Now, just to be a little careful, like I said earlier, good vibes are good. It's good to have good vibes, and it's good to kind of ride those vibes. The biggest challenge for Martin Saint Louis, though, is to keep them in check, right? Don't read all your press. I'm sure all the players are watching all the things, or reading all the articles about how they're the it team. Everybody thinks that they're up and coming and all that. There's a danger there, coach, where they're gonna, maybe take their foot off the pedal a little bit and almost kind of assume that it's theirs It's already there for them. But if they go in with that attitude and with that mindset next year, it's going to be bad. They're still going to have to fight hard every night. They're going to have to play tighter. They're going to have to continue to improve as a team. So having good vibes is awesome. But the biggest job for Martin Saint Louis is to make sure that they understand that they have accomplished nothing. They're starting from scratch, and they have to kind of really be on the same page. It's good to have good vibes, but you got to be on the first page and have your work boots and ready to go.
But Marco, this is the guy know that. This is the guy will talk about this. Like
Yeah.
the last couple, for some of you did not know, but I'm writing now. I'm contributor of its friend two website right now, and I do a lot of fun thing. Like yesterday, I look about Jeff Bashir, the new head coach Chicago Blackhawks. Then I went to the American Hockey League. I have two interviews with two coaches, Derek King and Nate Nigeldale Gale, whatever his last name. I apologize. I have to look about on that one. He's a new coach of the Rockford Ice Hog, Marco.
Yeah.
And all of them, Jeff talk about Martin St. Louis, John Cooper. He said, Martin St. Louis talk about winning the day. I want to implant for the Chicago Blackhawks the winning habit. Everybody have their own term, but it's about now in hockey world. It's about the mindset of the game, how you prepare your player, how the player buy in, how they all in, how you control the mindset of the game for each players, the up and down. You need to know not only who they are on the ice, but you need to know who they are off ice. You have to serve them, you have to care them, you have to help them, you have to love them. It's an individual game of one versus one now, Marco, like it was before. And that's what the successful coach is going to be the one have a program where the player is going to buy in and they're going to do everything for the coach. And the reputation of Martin St. Louis, what he did in NHL, helped him to get that kind of stature
For sure. Yeah.
in front of his player. I understand how caution you are about the outcome, but I see this on the other way. And I think you're going to tell me, yeah, but I understand, coach, but you may be not right. My point is 3, 4 years now, 5 years, we never have an opportunity for the last couple of years to have those kind of excitement, Marco, like what is coming for this season. I think this is what I feel right now, the Montreal Canadiens fans, because the channel we run here, we contact more the fans. And I think their excitement, the hope, and their happiness of to see the team, the direction they're going now, and they feel some kind of hope and the lights now. I think this is what you hear. You always have fans where you make the playoff or you're not good. We have fans where they're going to make the playoff, Marco. They're going to get 100 points. Give me just 100 points. Hudson going to do this and this and this. But you have more other fans where they say, you know what? And I think I'm sit on that one. Whatsoever happening, I know what it takes to build a rebuild team. If they go, like I said earlier, development, improvement as a team, as individual players, evaluation, they give some answer at the end of the year. Whatsoever happening, I'm happy about that. We make the playoff, Marco. I'm okay with that. If they don't make the playoff, but we're still in the meaningful game. I don't want the Montreal drop at 60 points. To the point that would be very bad for me. But I think this is the feeling I have right now. It's like, this is getting excited. For me, I've been 5 years now, watch all the game every night. I see next game every night. I feel this is the first time in the last couple of years we feel a win over the Montreal CD, where the hope and the excitement is for the Montreal Canadiens. So this is how I feel that. I understand you caution. I think you're really caution about this to calm down everybody. And the
Coach,
past,
I think no. Listen, I think everything you said, like, it's perfectly fine, right? Like, I think two things can be true at the same time, right? Like, so again, I'm also super excited. I just said I'm so excited to watch them. Like, you can be excited, but at the same time, understand that, okay, it's great that the players have good vibes and all that. Like, the players are getting along. All that is true. And I'm right with you, and I agree. Like, it's this is a golden era for Montreal Canadiens fans. Like, this is like, everybody shit on me last time when I say this, right? But I compared it to the Leafs, right? Like, when they first had Matthews, Marner, the hope of everything that was to come, right? Was, they had the Leafs fans thought, okay, we have years and years of Matthews, Nylander, Marner, and we have Tavares. Oh my God, it's exciting. We have, like, many, many years to try to win a cup, right? But it goes like that, very quick. So all I'm saying is that it's important, and like you said, I have all the confidence in the world that St. Louis can be a good communicator and have them take a step and make sure that they realize that, okay, we're all excited about what happened last year, and we grew a lot as a team, all those things, and we're all excited about kind of what's coming up. But guys, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need to kind of like focus in and win the day, like you said, and all those things, right? And I saw an interesting question from Nicholas in the chat earlier when we were talking about it, whether Montreal has already forgotten the manhandling that they got from the Washington Capitals. Well, you hope not, right? Like, I think that is a lesson they learn in the offseason. I don't know if they've addressed a lot of those things. Like, they haven't really gotten that much bigger. And that's an interesting question, right? Like, I don't think the management team has forgotten it. I think I don't know, Coach, if you agree, but we haven't really talked about it that much, actually. Like, even though the series finished 4-1 in 5 games, that series was closer than 4-1 series. Like, Montreal was in every game. There were certainly games where they were intimidated. Like, there's no question Tom Wilson took over some of those games and he took out Carrier, and you guys watched the games, but those games were closer than they looked, right? Like, Montreal was in those games pretty close. So yes, it was in 5 games, Nicholas, but that series was a bit closer. Hopefully Montreal does need to get bigger and need to get a bit harder to play against, for sure.
Good news about that series, Marco. That's exactly. They give us some answer, or they give us some way to find what is missing, and this is the reason why the Florida Panthers been that way a couple of years ago when they got swept by the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they got beat after that Washington Capitals, I believe, in 5 game, and then you get that change, and that was after that playoff, I believe. They trade Huberdeau to the Calgary, Marco, to get some Bennett. So thanks everybody for part of the show. We have new people pop up. Devin, Rick Leonard back in the house. And
Hey,
Danny T is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Be careful with the Toronto Maple Leaf now. Don't forget, everybody, to click on the likes. And Nicholas also with us, GF, and many others. Thanks to be with our Nation. And I want to mention, you have a question for Peter August. He talked about, do you think, and I'm going to make a video about this, do you think Carey Price is going to be traded in September? He talked about the floor. From Puck Bizia, all the team are under the floor. Nobody is on the red right now. They're going to make all the floor. I think it's 24 point something. I believe it is the floor minimum. So no problem with that. That said, do you think Montreal is going to be traded? And I want to add one more question from Peter. By the way, I make a timeout here, Marco.
all right.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, please, timeout.
I want to congratulate you to be the winner of the Fantasy Hockey League Hockey Nation last year, ESPN. And because now the door is open for the upcoming year, so invite everybody to try to defeat Marco for the upcoming year. And we're missing a couple of GM. We just started yesterday. We're going to promote this more and more. You can go on the ESPN, look for the league. It's called Hockey Nation Live, and you're going to find us. If you want to get an invitation, please let me know. I'm going to send this to you by email or by link. We're going to put this letter, but just want to open the door for that one,
for
because
sure.
Peter August was one of them, of course, with Yamo Vertanen. We're always looking for a new GM. So hopefully,
And Coach, we have to do like last year, where last year, for those of you who were on it, we did a Zoom call for for the draft that we did for our fantasy, and it was so much fun. We
Yeah,
had
Ron was
yeah,
there.
Run was there.
Ron
Yeah,
was
we had a
there.
lot of. We had
Uh,
Nick was there. Nick,
we miss.
Nick.
I apologize. I'm thinking right now to Justin, King of
Yeah,
Gamer, and hopefully the man is doing well. He has
yeah,
some kind of problem, and maybe I don't know, he's now on that direction. But whatsoever it is, we lost him. Maybe the reason why he is right now, but prayer for Justin and King of Gamer. But we have a great time together. I think we have 5 or 6, and we have a great
yeah.
conversation. So,
So fun.
great point to mention about that. But finally, do you think he's going to be traded? If yes, it will be the cost.
Yeah, I think so. The first thing is he has a bonus to be paid out. I believe it's on like the 1st of September. I'm not exactly sure the date, but I think that's kind of what's holding things up right now. Montreal's not going to be able to trade him until they pay out that last big bonus. So once that bonus is paid out, what would be the cost? I don't think it would be that high. Like again, because there's going to be what's the cost on the final year contract, coach? It's like 4 million or something like that. It's not like the full 10 million, right? I don't know what
I know
the
it's only
actual
$2 million, I believe.
2 million. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, even though there's teams that might not be at the floor, there's still there's a lot of advantages to having a contract like that where you have 10 million on the cap or whatever it is, and you're only paying 2 million in real cash. So I think there'll be some value. I don't think it'll be that expensive. I think you like a mid round pick or maybe like a prospect if you package that with the contract.
What is the pick? What was
I said a mid round pick, like maybe a third round pick.
that for?
I think,
Okay.
yeah, something like that. I don't think it'll be that expensive. You're not. It's not like a Sean Monahan where you're going to have to trade a first round pick. Like Calgary did. It's not going to be like that, right? So I think Montreal will have to give up something maybe to get rid of it, but I don't think they have much of a choice, coach. Like they need that cap space. Right now they're still 5 million over the cap. So they're going to need some of that flexibility. So I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And then like we said, like the when is, well, they have to pay that bonus, which I believe is on September 1st. So I think that's when we'll start to see that kind of play out.
I think it will be cost more. I think a second round pick or first round pick.
Whoa. Okay. I wouldn't be willing to do that. I'd much rather.
I think that would be. I would not be surprised. I don't think they will, but I think a team like San Jose are going to get there. And that guy will be fine. They have to sign McDavid anyway, so don't be worried about that. But I think the shock that gave the reason behind that gave a better leverage for the team with low
Yeah.
salary to get players at some points during the year to like Montreal did a couple of years ago. It would be funny, well, not funny, but it would be funny to see Carey Price trade to Chicago Blackhawks, and they get whatever they get also with that, and possible someone mentioned the Chicago the second round pick, and they're going to get in return Lucas Reichel.
Nah, no, I don't think so. Like to me, a
And
guy that you would
then
be moving.
following that, Marco, do you know who they have already? Chicago,
Colton Dock.
Sean Weber.
Oh, okay.
So they
Interesting.
have the contract of Sean Weber and their book right now. He's
Hey,
on the
Weber,
list of the roster right now for to fill up
he said
the
he was in
sniffer.
Nashville,
I'm sorry.
wasn't he? Oh, yeah. Okay. So his contract is in Chicago. Oh, yeah, that's right. He went to. You were talking about the Rockford Ice Dogs. They had him over there coaching some of their players last year,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
he was.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
That's right. That's
So
right.
now you're going to get Carey Price, maybe a Shea Weber on the team of the Chicago, but
Maybe a player coach though that I could see Montreal maybe moving is like a guy like Farrell. Maybe you move a guy like Farrell, like a former second round pick, that maybe you don't have space for. Maybe it costs a player like that to move the price contract out, maybe something like that. But
you have
I
to
don't
talk
see it.
about maybe trade a player like Mejar, or he doesn't make Mejar,
Sure.
but a player like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Mill prospect, a Farrell
yeah,
or Joshua Roy. That makes sense for me, JF, about that. Marco, we hit and we talk a lot tonight. I apologize for all of you, but you know when I'm prepared here, I'm always have for 5 hours of the show, Marco. But
Okay.
we have to
Yeah.
talk about the key of what we try to do tonight is about who say who goes, and we're going to start with the expansion. And the expansion we expect at some point, and I select the year summer 2027, not the fun year. If
Yeah.
ever happening, we don't say it will happen, but if ever happening, what it would be, Marco, the situation for Montreal Canadiens. So I did some search. At the beginning, I want to mention the rules, Marco. And the rules are they have two options. You protect seven forward, three defensemen, or one goalie. And I think GF last mentioned that to us last week. So thanks, GF. Option B, you can go with eight skater plus one goalie. The exception to not you don't have to protect them, they already protect are first and second year pro exam. So if you play first 4 year, example, Michael Edge. If you play next year with the Montreal Canadiens, the year after that, or Jacob Fuller, it will protect themselves with a 2027. And then you have two forward, one defenseman with game play, plus one goalie under contract R or RFA. Expansion pick also involved with that. So you put all this together, guys. That gave Montreal Canadiens something I want to mention. I'm going to put name on the board, and then you can tell me yes or no and split with the people in the chat. So Montreal Canadiens, from what they said, the rules, Zuski, Caulfield, Sokeski, Evan, Demidov, and Bolduc are all protect par the Montreal Canadiens. That's my feeling for the Montreal Canadiens.
Wouldn't it be seven players? This is six, right?
Yes,
Seven
but
or
they are
four?
not the selection Montreal. It's just what I believe they protect already for the Montreal Canadiens automatically long-term contract. The year number Demidov is going to be his third year entry-level contract, and then
Yeah.
Bolduc he become RFA at that year. So I don't see any movement for those players. And then for the defenseman, Marco, I have Nate Dobson, Kenan Coley, and Lane Hudson. They are my three players on that. That opened the door now, Marco, on
Ooh.
those players. Liney, Gallagher, Anderson, Doc Newhook, he become RFA. Veleno, Kapanen, RFA. Madison, Carrier, Jekai, Montembeau, Tobage. This, I took the player guys on the roster possible for the Montreal Canadiens. Now, he said Ray Barker. But Ray Barker
Yes.
at the summer 2027 is going to be, if he play this year, his second year and his contract of 3 years. That gave a chance for him to skip exam.
I don't know, coach, because are you sure about that? Because he played pro last year. Actually, isn't this his second year pro this year already?
It's going to be
Because he played,
his first year with the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, if
no,
he
but
play
it
with
says
Montreal.
pro. It says pro, which means if he play like, you mean has NHL games, or does pro mean like play in the AHL too?
Yeah, but you have to
I
play
don't know.
game in NHL.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you have to complete his contract for that one. So he's going to
Okay.
be protect on this. So
Okay.
that give you a 6 player plus 3. You have to pick a player at the bottom about that. Now, I did not mention that Strobel on this list, if you can
Yeah,
see
you
that.
would expect them.
But
Yeah, you
that
wouldn't
give you
expect it.
an idea what could happen. Um, Carrier will be at the end of his contract also at that year.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. So okay, so just to refresh my memory, we have seven. I agree with you about the defenseman. I think unless Reinbacher was on this list, that would make it more complicated. But if Reinbacher is not eligible, then Dobson, Gooley, Hudson, I think that's a no-brainer on defense, right? So that means, at this point, coach, we're going to be exposing a player like Jacky. We're going to expose it like Struble, and then we think that eventually Engstrom is going to be a player too. So Engstrom might be exposed. So that's like three pretty good NHL caliber defensemen that might be exposed. I'm not sure Montreal would protect Jake Evans, coach. Not going to lie. I don't see him being protected. But I agree with you 100% that Suzuki, Caulfield, Salkowski, Demidov, Budzik. You don't think we'll see how it works with Doc here, but um, I'm pretty sure that they would probably protect Kirby Doc if it turns out that way. I'm not sure that they'll be protecting Gallagher or Anderson that because won't their contracts be over by 2027?
Which one?
Right? It's Gallagher and Anderson. Their
Yeah,
contracts would be
yeah.
done,
We
right?
finish next summer,
So,
the spring
yeah.
summer.
So really the main players that you're thinking of here that are going to be eligible are going to be Doc, Newhook. Would be the ones that you'd be a little bit concerned about. I'm not really concerned too much about Jake Evans. It's not impossible. Like if you can protect him, but I would be trying to protect more people in the top six if possible. So, coach, I was really nervous about this, but when I look at it, I'm not as worried, right? Because I think Montreal will still be able to protect its core. Um, if it happens in 2028, though, and you have Weinbacher that's also now eligible, that's a little bit more concerning, right? Because you could potentially lose one of those top four defensemen, right? If the expansion only happens in 2028, that makes me nervous that you might be able to. And coach, what's not to say that there won't be two teams, right? There could be two teams that are coming into the expansion. Like we really don't know. So I think this is all part of the reason I wanted to do this exercise is because if you're stepping into Ken Hughes' shoes and Jeff Gordon's shoes, this is all part of the calculation of how you manage your assets, right? There's a couple things that you have to look at. Like Montreal had so many picks in the last 3-4 years. We know that there's only 50 contracts, professional contracts that you can have, right? So, like you mentioned earlier, coach, there's certain players like we're talking about Joshua Roy. We talked about Farrell. Soon we're going to be talking about Owen Beck and Kapanen, like players that are they, are they going to make it to the NHL? And at some point, they're no longer going to be waiver eligible, and you're going to maybe start losing some of these players to waivers or something else or to an expansion draft. So, that's the danger of having so many picks and having so many players turning pro all at the same time is because you might not have the bandwidth and you might end up losing some for nothing, right? So I don't know, coach. Like, do you think they're looking ahead at this? And again, not just at the expansion draft, but looking at, hey, like we're gonna have some of these players that we picked 2-3 years ago that when we had like 12 picks in a draft, they were picking so much. Do you think they're going to start looking at, we're going to start losing some of these players are going to be aging out? Like the bananas are getting much like Pierre Maguire says sometimes on the SIP podcast. Montreal is no longer in the green banana business. Like they have riper bananas. So would you rather sell those bananas before they're all black and brown, or are you going to just continue to ride this wave and just hope that you don't lose too many of these players? But so I'm really grateful, coach, that you put this together because I was too lazy to do it, first of all. So thank you for doing it. But I think it's good to see what the impact would be, right? So curious to see in the chat here, like, do you agree with this list? Are these the 10 skaters that you would protect if you're in Montreal? Which ones do you think will be here? Like, yeah, and that you would want to prioritize? Like, it's interesting. What do you think, Coach?
Um, this is good to do those kind of exercise, Marco,
Yeah.
because that helping me to understand. The really interesting about David Rebacker, and I'll give you that example right there, and that's something new I learned because you tell me this, and then the time you're talking, I'm reading.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
David Rebacker played last year under the close of European players deal.
Okay.
So when you do this, it's like a player like Engstrom played with Laval last year, but he's still on his entry level contract with Laval. It's not hurt the Rebacker because he's European. So his kick contract, it was 2 years with the team in European. He start his entry level contract next season for upcoming season for Rebacker. He's going to have 3 years in front of him. So he's going to be next year, 25, 26, then 26, 27. That'll give him 2 years for Rebecca. Now, N26 said Demidov. So I checked Demidov. So Demidov is going to play. He burned 1 year of his contract last year. Now the clause is 10 game. I understand that, but because he's burned 1 year, his contract now after 2 years, for the next 2 years, he's going to become RFA at the summer 27. You have to remember, guys, we talk about summer 27. It's not 26. So Demidov, obviously, he had to be protected for the rules I can understand right here.
Yeah.
PW even maybe not be protected.
Yeah.
Good point about that. The reason I put him there is because it was still a contract with the Montreal Canadiens, so that I go for the on that one. What about Fuller? He will type a 3-season play and
yeah, that's the tricky one. That's the tricky one, right? We didn't get into the goaltending, but that's where it's going to get risky. So if Fowler is going to be eligible, that's
it
a
will
really
not.
that's
It will not be. Hold on. I'm
for
looking now for
2027.
Fuller right here.
So he burned his first year as a pro last year,
He
unless
burned
you're
last year. It would be, but
in his third year.
no. Again, he did not burn his year last year. He played only Laval.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
He kicked his entry level contract this year with Laval. Now, what he burned and not Rebecca, because Rebecca was playing under the European contract. So that's the trend between both of them. So he will be at the summer 2027, still only 2 years. So Fuller is exempt on that.
Yeah. And just I see some questions in the chat. So again, guys, we're hearing that there will be an expansion. Nothing's been confirmed, but there's a lot of reports that it's just a matter of time that there will be another one. Some of the teams that people we've heard mention, Atlanta is one of the teams. Funny enough, Atlanta's on the radar again. You hear, maybe Houston is a team that you've heard come up a couple times. So there are some different places, but I think Atlanta is probably the front runner. The reason for that, guys, Batman is always, and Batman is always loved. And again, you never know. Phoenix might be back on the radar. I think they'd like to be in Phoenix again with a different owner. The reason Atlanta makes sense, guys, is because don't forget they have the massive long-term deal with ESPN, and ESPN is based out of Atlanta. That's where their main headquarters is. So that's definitely a market that they want to have. So we'll see. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but it's such a
if
huge
it's the case,
paycheck.
Marco, so I apologize, currently pitching. Who do you think you're going to lose?
So on here, again, depending if Line is still there. So Gallagher and Anderson, I'm not sure. We'll see how it works out. Maybe they end up trying to re-sign Anderson. But if because I think if everything goes well here, I think you'd probably protect Doc. I'm not sure they would protect Newhook. So maybe they end up losing a player like Newhook, maybe a player like Kapanen. But most likely, I think will be a defenseman. I think that's where their depth is. So I think you could easily we know that Jack Eye is somebody that is a very rare commodity in the NHL, especially if he plays well and is playing bottom pair minutes. He's killing penalties and he brings that unique je ne sais quoi physical factor. Jack Eye is somebody that I could absolutely see an expansion team getting for their team character and everything else. I Matheson, I'm not sure. Who knows if he'll even be with Montreal. I'm looking more at the younger players, right? So
yeah, that's what I was going to mention too.
Yeah.
I think for me, Doc Newhook, Jekai, Tobesh, and Carrier, not Carrier, but they all, I believe, the first one. And we have to mention maybe Strobel on that list, of course.
Maybe Kapanen. I don't know. But I think like Montreal has a lot more depth on defense. So, I think if I'm a team, then I would be targeting, the most unique asset that you can get. And we know that a lot of teams have called Kent Hughes about Arbor Jackeye. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's an asset that a team would scoop up for sure.
Yeah.
But that's
And then
yeah,
one player we need to mention is I think Adam Ekstrom will be fine,
yeah,
but he become RFA at that summer. Um, Now, don't forget, guys, Owen Beck is one of them. Is going to be Florent Jacquard is going to be on that one. But pay attention, guys. You have to if you play 1 year next year, like Florent Jacquard is exempt at 2027. If you
yeah.
go
So that's how
2028, that would change again another direction. What it could happen for the roster
yeah.
of the
But like I was saying, coach, it's like there's a double whammy effect here for Montreal is that you have the risk of losing some of the players to expansion draft. But as these players start to get older, a lot of them are going to start to become eligible for waivers as well. Like Montreal at the beginning of the season, they're not just going to be able to send them down. So that's my concern here, right? Is okay, it's great that Montreal has this huge pipeline of these, like a lot of them are kind of like more bottom six players that we all think are going to maybe play some NHL games, but it's hard for them to kind of make the lineup. That is the danger of having a ton of picks that all happen in the span of 2 to 3 years. Is you're going to have all of these players all of a sudden aging out. So they're going to need to kind of like make some decisions here, maybe kick the can down the road. You trade somebody that you just don't think you're going to have room for in your lineup so that you can get a second round or a third round pick so that you can kind of just keep the pipeline fresh because not all these players in Laval maybe like let's be honest coach maybe that's another show we can do. We usually do this during the summer. Last year I think we looked at all the players in Laval and we graded are they going to play 50 games in the NHL, 150 games in the NHL, or more, right? So which ones and then the secondary question is okay, they might play over 150 games in the NHL, but will it be in Montreal? That's a whole other thing, right? So that's another analysis that Kent Hughes needs to make is okay, if we know that there's no room for these players, it's good to have depth, but at some point other teams are going to steal them off waivers. So this is
but they
all
are not
asset
in the
management.
best situation when you look about that list, Marco. And 2027.
Not right,
That
but
will be more complicated in 2028.
yes, but coach, again, like it's not bad if you're just looking at expansion, but when you combine the waiver eligibility and this together, I think it's Kent Hughes still has to be
Yeah, but
smart
if you look
about his
about the
assets.
losing right now, like it's not the
Yeah,
top players on the Montreal Canadiens. You talk about the bottom six and the third
yeah.
pairing
For
for
sure.
Montreal
They're going to be able
Canadiens.
to they're going to be able to protect their core. There's no question about that. Unless Reinbacher. So if the biggest issue for me on this is if Reinbacher suddenly becomes eligible for this list, if it would
No,
happen
he's
in
not.
20
I can guarantee that.
no, but let's saying the expansion happens the year after.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
2028. That's changed completely the
Yeah,
philosophy
yeah.
of that one over there. Let's open up Rebecca. That's what I said. You're
That
right.
would be
If
huge.
2028, Montreal could be on the problem for
Yeah.
sure. But we'll see. It's all about talking and to see what could.
It's August, right? It's the slow time of the year, coach. So we're looking for interesting topics. This is not something we would normally talk about during the season, but these are for hockey nerds like us who like to talk about hockey in the middle of the summer. These are possible things that could happen that are interesting conversations. It makes you think a little bit. If you're, and I'm sure these are conversations that they're having in the office too, coach. Like these, as a management team, you have to be. If you're playing chess here, you're thinking 2-3 moves ahead when you're thinking about this. The coach, Martin Saint Louis, he's only worried about my lineup tonight to win games right away. But if you're Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon, you have to be having these conversations and thinking about every possible things that could happen to make sure that your team is ready.
I'm sorry about that. We're going to finish. We're going to have two things to do. The next one, we talk about prediction, everything. We see the view of the Montreal Canadiens. We talk about expansion, but I want to bring you in the next 3 years. Montreal Canadiens, I want to tell me if he's stay or not. If he's going to be a part a long term or not. So in 3 years, now we're going to start the season 2025, 28, 29, Marco. So you have
Okay.
to tell me, the people in the chat, if you don't mind, that'd be great, Wendy. Josh Anderson, is stay or is out?
Okay, so I want to be clear that he'll be here for the next 3 years, or he'll still be here after 3 years.
After 3 years. So he's going to be a final year contract and 2 years, right? Then you're going to have an extra year. So we talk about 28, 29 season at the beginning as a
Right.
roster.
Yeah, I think he'll be there until then, but I don't think he'll be there after that. Like I don't think he'll be here after 2028. But I think he'll stay until then.
So he's going to have to sign a new deal with Montreal. And
I
how
think
long will
so.
be that deal?
We'll see, but I think they need a player like him. His role is going to change, you know. But I think I don't think Montreal, like, they have a couple guys like Thorpe and, you know, like they have Jack Eye and players like that, but they don't have enough guys like him. So unless his play drops off, like if he continue to, if this, like, because with his skating coach, I think he's a player that, you know, isn't going to become less effective. So I don't, I unless something really changes, I could see them extending him, but it's not going to be like it's not going to be the end of the world if they don't. It has to be the right deal. But I could see him sticking around because they don't have a lot of guys like him.
I don't think so. None of us would be here in 3 years, too. Yes, you never know about this. But I would say no. I think Anderson will be out. It
Okay.
will not be resigned by the Montreal Canadiens.
We shall see.
Yep. And it will be trade at the trade deadline next year, not this year, but a
Oh,
year after that.
so coach, okay, whoa. Let's pause on that here because people like it when we disagree, right? Okay, well, for this one, I really disagree because so let's say Montreal's in the mix or in the playoffs. You're saying that they're going to trade Josh Anderson, one of their most physical, more engaging playoff performer type guys? Are you crazy? Like there's no way
Now,
that they're
if
doing
they
it.
are the playoff, like you mentioned at the trade deadline, now they're going to
Yeah.
keep him, but they're not going to resign at 32, 33 years old after that.
Okay, so at that, so are you confident then that like a player like Thorpe or Jackeye is going to be able to? So Jackeye, I think you know,
The guy will be
but
that one who would take his spot, like as
but you
a
need more. But see, that's the thing is if you're just replacing Anderson for Jackeye, we need more players like that,
yeah.
not
But
just
you're going to
replacing.
get other player, Marco, like other team on the bottom six to fill his spot. Anderson, Anderson at $4, $5, $6 million at 33 years old, we're not on the
No,
right
no,
direction.
no, well, no. I don't think. Again, he's going to take a pay cut, right? And again, the salary cap is going to be totally different by then. But I don't know, coach. Like we'll see. Like it's hard to predict if he's the same Josh Anderson that we had last year. And he wants, and you know, we know that he loves playing in Montreal. I could see him like maybe like a 1 year deal. If Montreal's at that point, you hope that they're on the cusp of really being a winning team. So we'll see. But like I think
But
they need more players
I don't expect why we sign a deal of 1 year with Montreal. Like,
because he wants to win. And if you like if Montreal's like in 3 years from now, we think, coach, that Montreal is going to be a contending team,
but
not
he's going
just
to
a
be
playoff team.
34 years old.
Yeah. So perfect to sign 1 year deal
But he would
if
not.
he's still.
Like I said, for me, I would not. He would not be part of my team. Like, he's already like guys scored 12, 15 goals.
Yeah, but he's going to be a fourth line player by that point, coach.
Yeah,
We'll see.
but I would not go that one. All right, let's go move on to Kirby Duck. Whoop. I put Kirby there. I don't know why Kirby Duck is there, but I will let him there. So I don't know why I did not move my players right there. But anyway, let Kirby
That's
Duck
good.
there. Like a
This is a
puzzle.
tough one, right? Yeah. No, this is a tough one. Like, I'm going to say I hope that he's still there because he's such an important part of what they're trying to build. I think we're going to know a lot more after what happens this year, right? But I'm going to say I hope that he's still there because regardless of whether he plays center or not, I think with his size, with his abilities, I think he would be a tremendous top six winger on the right side with Demidov and with a real center. I think that has a lot of potential. Because again, he has skill, he has the potential to play mean and physical. So I'd say I'm going to say yes. I think he has if everything plays out. I would really like to see him as part of the solution in Montreal. But this year is going to be so important.
Great point about that. For me, good night, Mark. Talk to you soon. I don't think Doc would be with Montreal.
Okay.
That one.
All
The
right.
next one, Gallagher.
No. So this one, I think he's probably going to retire. Maybe he gets another deal, but I think he retires as a Montreal Canadian, but I don't know how much gas he has left in the tank, to be honest. So I don't see them re-signing Gallagher. Just the heart's going to be there, but just the wheels are not going to be there. Like we've seen that he's been in a lot better condition over the last couple of years, and he had a really great season last year. But 3 years is a long time when there's already so much mileage on that body. So I wouldn't be super confident there.
Will not. He will not going to be there. He's going to be in the coaching staff, but he will not be part
Yeah,
of this.
yeah,
Jake Evans is going to be on his final year contract, if I'm right.
yeah. I don't think they're going to re-extend him. Um, I think what we've talked like coach, you remember there's many, many months or many, many weeks during the season last year, we had the debate here whether Montreal should extend Jake Evans. A lot of people felt like, oh, hey, you're blocking the lane for players like Owen Beck or Kapanen and players like that. But the reason that I was in favor of them signing him at the time was that, hey, if Owen Beck or Kapanen or whoever else steals a starting job from Jake Evans, then that's when you trade him. But you don't not sign him just to it's the same thing. We had this conversation a bunch of times. It's the Kovacevic mistake they made last year. They're like, okay, we're just gonna trade Kovacevic because we assume that either Barron, Reinbacher, or Mayu is going to be able to hit the lineup. And then when it didn't work out, you traded Kovacevic and you had to go out and trade for Alex Carrier, which turned out to be great, but there's no guarantee you're going to be able to find players like that all the time. So for me, at this stage, you hope that somebody like Beck is going to win Jake Evans' spot. So I don't think they would ever re-sign Jake Evans. So no.
I agree with you. He'll be out for me. Patrick Laine.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a tough one. I just don't see how he can fit in the top six long term. And I don't think he's the kind of guy that you can have in your bottom six long term to be effective, right? So again, to me, the ideal second line in the future is Kirby Doc on the right or on the left, a real left-handed center, and Demidov. That's what I would like. To me, that's what I'd like to see. I think that would be a good mix. So I hope Line A is a contract year this year. So, and as we can see, he's been training really hard. He's gelling really well with the team. So we hope he has a really good year this year. But I don't anticipate that Montreal is going to be re-signing him unless if they were to move Kirby Doc as part of a deal to get another center, maybe that opens up a spot on the right wing or on the wing in Montreal's top six. But unless Kirby Doc is moved, and unless maybe Michael Hage eventually plays in the top six, I still think that Kirby Doc is the ideal fit for their top six on the wing.
Was said, I think it will not be with the Montreal Canadiens, Patrick Laine.
Yeah,
Um, I
not
don't
me.
see that. Unfortunately, I don't think that. Now, everything could change for 3 years, like E2 said. We just projected, we not do
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
else. It's nothing wrong about that. Alex Newhook for the Montreal Canadiens.
So this is an interesting one, right? if Alex Newhook really kind of buys into his role here as a penalty killer, he's not going to be very expensive, right? Like if he really turns out to be more of like a bottom six player, kills penalties, like let's say he's like a Paul Byron kind of guy, right? He's not going to be super expensive, and because of his skating, I think it'd still be useful, right? So if so again, I'll say if he turns out to be really good on the PK and is willing to take a not much of a raise, still kind of under $3 million or something like that to be a good penalty killer for you. I think he's valuable, right? Just because of his speed. But the thing we need to see with him is, and we saw some of this last year, is him using his foot speed to pressure the puck defensively and be a good penalty killer. And when you're really, really stuck, maybe you can pop into your top six for a couple games here and there. I think he's still a valuable piece, coach. I could see him being part of the solution, but it depends. Like you can't be paying him as a top six player because he's definitely more of a bottom six guy. But I would be okay with him still being there.
Good question. It's not it's a difficult one over there. I think the talent of the players coming from Laval over the next 2 years will push him out or keep him around. I think I have more chance for me New York stay around over Doc because
I don't know. Like,
his versatility to play both on both sides
yeah.
for me, and what he can bring on the game, like his speed, can play on the PK. I think it would be more versatile. I don't know what
Let
is
me
in
push
English
back.
versatile.
No, that's the versatile. Yeah, it's the same word.
Versatile. So I think
Yeah.
for this, it would be a little bit more over Kirby Dap, in my opinion.
But
That
let
said,
me
not
let
saying
me
it's going
push
to.
back.
I think it will make it, but I think it could be pushed out by other young prospects coming from Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah. Let me push back on that, coach. This might not be a very popular thing to say, but Montreal's prospect pool from here, like because again, we're still thinking of Demidov as a prospect, Hage, and those kind of guys. But there's like, can you name me, other than potentially Zarovsky and Hage, players that are going to potentially play in a top six for Montreal,
Top six
or
right
even like
now,
a third one?
no, it's Michael Edge,
No.
it's Bolduc.
Well, Bud Zick is not even really a prospect. Like, I guess technically, because he hasn't played 100 games in the well, I think he has played 100 games in the NHL. Bud
Uh,
Zick, I think he has,
oh, this is a good question. Me, I would say no,
because
but
he
I'm going
played
to
a
verify.
full season last year, and then I think he played like 25 games the year before
No,
that. So he's close. He's close.
72 game, 87
Oh,
game. No,
okay,
97 game, Marco. I win.
pretty close.
I was good right now. The price is right, Marco, right now.
Yeah. Here you go. I thought he was at 100 games, but it's pretty close. So technically, I guess he's still a prospect because usually you use the under 100 games, but he's right there, right? So, anyways, my point, coach, is we have to, like, in the last couple of years, as Montreal Canadiens fans, we had this idea. Okay, we have all these amazing prospects coming. Okay, the thing that's different is that most of the really good ones are already here. Yes, there's still a pipeline, like there's still some in Laval and things like that, but there's not a bottomless pit of like high end prospects that are still coming from the pipeline here, right?
No.
So for me, Newhook, I don't see a lot of players like Newhook. Like again, you think maybe Davidson, can play a
Oh,
role
but
like
still,
that.
New York is still in front of Davidson.
Yeah, I think so too, right? Like, so I don't know. And with Doc, again though, like I think if you compare Doc to somebody like Jackeye or even Thorpe, I think Doc still has more talent than those guys, right? Like I don't think Jackeye or Thorpe are ever going to be playing in a top six. So if Doc if he can stay healthy, again, I have my doubts of him as a center, long term. But I can if I see the Kirby Doc as a winger in our top six with a very good left-handed center and Demidov on the other side, I'm really happy with that. And just like I'm not saying, guys, that Montreal's pipeline is thin. I think it's still very good, but that's going to be the key to for Montreal to sustain itself, right? Is and all teams do this, right? Like when you get to the stage when Montreal actually is at the stage where they're going to start to contend for a Stanley Cup, we all hope that's going to be true. They're going to start trading some first round picks. That's just the way that it works, right? So the key for Montreal, most of the great teams like Carolina is amazing at doing this, is finding, like Montreal did this year, getting Zorofsky in the second round. That's what you're going to need to do if you're Montreal. If you're going to start trading first round picks, some of these prospects to get players to help you go for win it potentially a Stanley Cup, you're going to need to start drafting smartly and getting value picks in the second round, in the third round, and finding players there. We're off topic, but I think both Newhook and Doc have a very good chance of still being there.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're going to finish with 4 more players. We'll be a little bit more quicker, so we're done at 4 minutes. We're going to skip the clash tonight. Have a good clash, by the way, but it will be another time. Mike Madison.
No, sir. Not a chance.
I agree with you about that. Alex Carrier.
Ooh, I'm going to say, how old is Carrier now? He's 28?
He's 28 maybe now.
Yeah. So, I think, like, me, Coach, I don't like signing players over 30 for long extensions if their skating is not very good. He is a very good skater, so I don't think that would be an issue for him to be a guy in his 30s. The only thing with me, and we haven't talked about this too much, Coach, but even for this year, guys, just go look at Carrier's game played. If you don't think Reinbacher is going to play games this year, Carrier gets hurt a lot. Okay, so he's with the blue line where we've had Gouli that's had injuries before and stuff like that. Just watch out for Carrier in terms of his games played, because he plays a very physical style, but he's not very big. Different from Francis Bouillon, Coach, that you're saying, like Bouillon is very thick. Carrier plays like Bouillon, but he's not as strong as Bouillon. Anyways, all that being said, I don't think they would sign Carrier just because I think the mileage on his body is going to be too much for him with the way that he plays. So I don't see him being there in 3 years. I don't.
It's going to be UF3 and 27, 28. I'm going to surprise all of you. I'm going to say yes for me. And as like defenseman number 6, 7 with Montreal, keep the right defenseman on that side. No. That said, it's not there. We're going to be surprised. But I think for me, that will be a little bit the David Savard or the Montreal Canadiens at that moment. Because Madison will be out. You don't have anybody else after that. For me, that will be the reason I keep him.
He's they need the to get right bigger, though. They need to get bigger, Coach, on the back end, Coach. Like, they need to get bigger. So I don't know. Anyways, we can debate that later. But Struble, again, I don't think. I think at some point here, if he doesn't crack the lineup, he's going to probably either get moved or he's going to get scooped up on waivers or something. So I don't think he's going to make it.
I think he'll be out in the next 2 years.
Yeah, same here.
And then it's a tough one.
3 years. So that would make him 32?
He's going to be 33, I believe, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. I'm going to say no. I think I think 3 years from now, I think that, the tandem should be Dobesh and Fowler. It all depends, obviously, on performance and how things work out. But yeah, I don't see Monty being there in 3 years. I think he could certainly go get another contract in the NHL, depending on how things go. But at that point, Montreal will start to really kind of start to feel some pressure around the cap, right? So if Montembeault continues this trajectory and is still playing, like minutes like a number one, I don't think Montreal will be able to afford to bring him back, to be honest.
I agree with you about Montembeault too. He's going to be, he turned 29 in October, will be 33. 32 at that moment, maybe 33 at the beginning of that year. If Tobesh and Fowler follow the path of the development,
Yeah.
Marco, Montebo is out for that one. That give you a little bit an exercise. Why not call Phil everybody else? Because we know they're going to be a
Yeah.
part of the show. I think I like the exercise about the and I think
Well, coach, there's
next
another
time,
layer
Marco,
to this.
because we have time. Um, that'll be good to see who's going to be there. Three on the bottom six: Florent Jacquet, Beck, Kapanen, Eriksson, like Thorpe or Papanikis.
Yeah.
Everything that be fill up what we don't have. That
Yeah.
thing would be
But
another good exercise we can do.
if we add that, so yes, I agree 100%. We should do that exercise. But another one, okay, so the players that aren't on this list, okay, I think a fun one and maybe a dangerous one because we'll get eaten alive in the comments is out of the top, what we think will be the top six, right? So Suzuki, Caulfield, uh, like
Dakaski,
Demidov,
Demidov, Hudson.
yeah, all those guys, right? Do we honestly? Will Montreal have to sacrifice one of those, or maybe even Gouli or a player like that, to get their second line center?
I'm got killed last month. I put Caulfield out.
Yeah, yeah. That's the question, right? Because coach, we talked about this when we talked
No,
about the
it's not
Mayu.
it's a controversy
Not great.
conversation, and
It
that's
is.
all right. But
It's reality.
at some point, Fleur Panther straight Huberdeau. What I was in Florida, Marco, and you're going to tell
Yeah,
me one day Huberdeau, Ekblad, or Barca betrayed? I would say never,
yeah,
because he
yeah,
was
yeah,
the three amigos on that organization.
yeah.
And he took
Yeah.
another person out of this organization, show up in Florida after second year as a GM. He knew what he need for the team. Can Hughes find out? And I said Caulfield, guys, not said they want to trade him, but
No,
anyone. You can talk about Sakoski.
Slavkovsky,
Sakoski
exactly.
example. Can Sakoski be the one where it would benefit? Like Marc Bergevin trade Subban, Marco, right? And to what? To sacrifice Subban, what he got, he was expect to get a better in return.
Yeah,
It's easy to trade Jake Evan, right?
well, yeah, for
But
sure.
you get not a top six. But
Yeah,
which player from Montreal Canadiens they have, exclude Patrick Laine, for the five players they have, right? Or the four players, the Demidov, Caulfield, and Sakoski. It could be Zachary Bodzik. Could be trade on that one. On defenseman, Kaden Coley. I understand you cannot trade everyone, but if you take one piece of the puzzle, and that value will improve the Canadian Montreal to be close to winning the Cup, which one do you
yeah.
sacrifice? This is the way
That's
we can go
yeah,
that one.
yeah. I think it's a discussion that we're gonna have to have because what I was gonna say is, remember, I've said this a couple times this summer. Montreal had a couple of bullets in the chamber, okay? Like trade assets that they could use to go get a second line center, okay? The last big one, in my opinion, that they'd be willing to move was Logan Mailloux. Now they spent that. I like the Budzik trade. I think it's a good trade. I'm very excited to see Zachary Budzik play. But in a couple of years from now, are we going to be like, not just because it was a bad trade, maybe they win the trade, but are they going to, do they have the assets now to go trade for a second line center? Because Mayu was one of the big ones. Because you can't trade Reinbacher because you need that right-handed defenseman. You're not going to trade. You're not trading Suzuki because you need another center. So to me, it just leaves, because teams that are going to trade a second line center, they want players back. They don't want draft picks. They don't want futures. They want roster players because the league is so competitive right now. So what does Montreal have as something to give, as surplus? They have defensemen on the left side and wingers. That's what they have that they're willing to give up. So that leaves players like Caden Gooley. Kirby Doc doesn't have much value in the NHL right now. And it leaves players like Caulfield and Slavkovsky and Demidov, but you're not trading Demidov. So interesting question.
It's a great
Unless they can.
question, by the way, because this
Yeah.
really difficult to answer, first of all. And secondly, what would be the impact? Like, think about this, everyone. Florida trade Huberdeau. And look, Florida we did. Imagine if Toronto, they have the guts to trade one of the four right there
Marner,
after 3 years.
For
Example, he said, you know what? We're
Yeah.
never going to win with them. We need someone to pick up that, and they trade for Rantanen. I'll just give you an example. But I think this is where a GM is not afraid to make those impact. One come in my mind is Julien Brisebois for the Tampa Bay
Exactly.
Lightning, right?
Exactly.
I think Jim Neal for the Dallas Star is really active for that.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
where I believe this is GM are more proactive, I would say to you, at passive. It does make a difference sometimes at GM. You're not going to win all the trade, but at some point you need answer. And I think Toronto is the biggest problem. It's been that area, Marco, on the Toronto. They wait. They believe,
Yeah.
and we don't know. It's maybe Shanahan, who knows what, who care at the end of the day. But this is a great subject to bring on the table here one night for sure.
Yeah.
For that, I think we hit the what I bring to you tonight on the clash is no time anymore, but it was selection of player versus another one on that. And then I pick up Marco line. 3 players for the Boston Bruins, example, Bergeron, Pasternak, Marchand versus Florida Panthers, Barkov.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
really a good one. We're going to have more time next week about that.
Yeah.
Always fun to work with you. The Wednesday night becomes a great night for everyone. And because Marco brings a lot of knowledge about hockey, glad to have worked with you. I will let you go for finish the show. And I can wait to see you next week, possible again next Wednesday, Marco.
Excellent. Have a great week, guys. Always fun. Have a great night. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
Thank you. Marko Larabie, ladies and gentlemen, directly from Hawkesbury. Marco is really great to Hockey Nation to give his time and talking about his favorite sport, hockey, and most about the Montreal Canadiens. And this is all about that. And more to come. We have next week, Jim Beringer is coming in the house. Marco is coming in the house. We have Spology, Ross Cohen from New Jersey, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh area is going to come next week talking about the NHL upcoming season. We have 2 people working with the Laval Rocket on the podcast is coming for next month. We're going to fill for the upcoming year, guys, people with other podcasts working NHL and ESPN or on the NHL network. We find a way now to open the door. I got approached now. If you know, I'm contributor of the Hockey Hot Stove. That gave me a lot more people to talk and to join us. I'm now working with a company called Fanside website about writing contributor about the Edmonton Oilers, the Chicago Blackhawks, and something else. But I have to wait for that confirmation. So we'll see what it look like, but I think this is a way to do it. Monday to Friday with other people talking about the NHL and Montreal Canadiens. Hopefully you have a great time tonight. Danny T, back-to-back night to see you. Glad to see Danny T active in the chat. Your brother Roger stopped by tonight, by the way, and we can feel it. More people come now every night and talking about the Montreal Canadiens, and that's the way to do that. Watch your notification. I may be right back tomorrow night. Possible. I feel it's going to be that way, but it's not confirmed. But check your notification. This is the last week of vacation or skip many night. Following next week, we'll be back Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. And then the following week, we'll be back again. And then we're going to start at the Labor Day, the full weeks of the Hockey Nation every night. So I can't wait to see all of you with the Hockey Nation. I want to thank moderator Ron with Kings and Danny T with us tonight. We want to thank RJ Calabro, the news and update. All the people click on the likes. Thanks so much. I can't wait to see you until the next time. Until then, my friend, one thing we know, because Danny is one of them. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. Welcome, Danny, and thanks for everybody to be part of the show tonight. I can't wait to see you next time. Until then, my friend, I'm supposed to start the music, and I did not start the music. So I apologize for that one. What's going on with April? There we go. April is back. Let's see April. Nicolas de Gobi-Bonneau, welcome back, my friend. Hopefully you're doing well. RJ Calabro, thanks so much. Randy, glad to see you. Guy, of course. Billy, Frank, we have PS, Triple W back in the house. We have Joe Blow at the beginning. And then we have other people. Mark Elliott, PLW. We got E2 from the kitchen tonight. Woody Snyder back in the house. And also, we have many others. I forgot. Nicholas was with us just at the beginning of the show. Listen, this is what we do here at the Hockey Nation Show. Pete Martin, Roger Delaney, Roger Bouchard. We have a Gary Conoy. Gary also was a part of the show. I can't forget the name, but at the end of the day, guys, we want April. I try my best to reach her. And I cannot. I never heard from Epidemic Sound website. I look Facebook, look Instagram, I look on X account. Cannot find April Moon, the right one. They have a group called April Moon and UK, but it's not her. But I do my best about that. He missed a couple of likes to get 50. That'd be great if we can do that. And I can wait to see you next time, my friend. Have an amazing, great evening. Middle of the week, a couple more days before the end of the week. I'm still 12 days, but we're out the 14 here. So we still 11 days before I move now. In the country, I'm going to be a farmer. Another story for another time. Last night, she sent me a video. No, she put me live with her, and she was cooking, and then it was the time to eat. And she put the phone right there, and they have about 9 people, her sister, their kids, and everyone, and all of them eat on the floor. It's going to be interesting starting at the end of the month. That's how the Italian it is. Have a great night, everybody. I can wait to see you next time. Until then, be well, be healthy. Find a way not only to donate your day, but find a way to donate the second app or web. I know Nicolas we said 2025 or RJ Calabro. Coach, you have found all the cheese of the world. Find April. Yeah, I did. I tried. The cheese is over. I got a good one right now. Is need to keep that one forever. Until then, my friend, how can I show that nation and all the cheese until then want to tell you one thing. We love you, friends. Oh, 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 oh. And booyah!